and the four immeasurables. Padin Sawe Lama Rinpoche, Dage Shiwa Pende Den Shula, Kaden Shempa Gone Sante, Kursun Tuje Uju Satus. Ue Sanje Chuton Soje Shonamla, Janshu Batu Dane Chapsuchi, Dage Jenso Jipe Sananji, Dola Penche Sanje Duparashu, Sanje Judon Soje Jonamla, Janshu Batu Dane Chapsuchi, Dage Jenso Jipe Sananje, Dola Penche Sanje Duparashu, Sanje Judon Soje Jonamla, Janshu Batu Dane Chapsuchi, Dage Jenso Jipe Sananje, Dola Penche Sanje Duparashu. Ue Senshen Tanshi Dewa Tan Dewe Judan Dempar Jutsi, Dunga Tan Dunga Raji Judan Dawar Jutsi, Dunga Mepe Dewa Dampa Tan Mendawar Jutsi, Nyereng Shatan Tan Dawe Tan Yom Shampula Nepar Jurche, Zen Shen Tan She Dewa Tan Dewe Jutan Dempar Jutse, Dunga Tan Dunga Raji Jutan Dawar Jutse, Dunga Mepe Dewa Dampa Tan Mendawar Jutse, Nyereng Shatan Tan Darwe Tan Yon Shempola Nepar Jurche, Sen Shen Tan She Dewa Tan Dewe Jutan Dempar Jutse, Dunga Tan Dunga Raji Jutan Dawar Jutse, Dunga Mepe Dewa Dampa Tan Mandawar Jutse, Nyereng Shatan Tan Darwe Tan Yom Shempola Nepar Jurche. Okay, so now we have seen how precious human life can be. We have seen the importance of impermanence. But like I was saying this morning, it's not, from a Dharma point of view, it's not that nothing exists. It's not that. It's that everything is changing all the time. But within that change, there are links. There is the phenomenon of interrelationship and interaction and interdependence and causality. So this principle of causality, the fact that in this world, in this phenomenal world, nothing happens without a cause, that's the principle of karma. So now this is the third thought, is the importance of karma and karmic karmic consequences to everything we do, everything we think, everything we say. So it is extremely potent. And so one thing is, and that doesn't take away the fact that things are impermanent. It's completely compatible with it, in the sense that despite the fact that it changes, there is a link between things, and the link between things is totally in accordance to the cause, So, and that's from that point of view, we are told, we are actually invited, encouraged in being more and more aware of our actions, our speech, and our mental attitude, because this is going to have a direct result, and it's going to have an effect on the way our life is going to evolve. So it means it has that connotation of total responsibility on our life, how we actually behave. So, for some people, there is I think a great misunderstanding now with the word karma. It's being used any old way. You see it in the media. Oh, this is his karma. This is her karma. This is that karma. And it's turning the whole idea of karma, which is very subtle and very complex, into something ridiculous, like a certain type of fatalism or determinism, which has nothing to do with the teachings. The real understanding of karma allows us to free ourselves. Because once we are really aware of the connections, once we are really aware of that law of causality, we have chances, we have possibilities of breaking out of the wheel of interdependence. So this is learning about karma and being more aware of karma allows us to free ourselves, not the other way around. It is not determinism, it's actually encouraging more awareness in everything we do and everything we think. So in a way, that's more difficult than just being fatalistic. Okay, fatalism is a kind of laziness of the mind, Oh well, that's how it is. That's how it is, and that's laziness. So, like Dharma is not for lazy people in that sense. You have to be able to make that effort, like I was saying, this enthusiastic effort, that we were talking about last night. The effortless effort, it's called, because it's built on enthusiasm. Because once we understand that this law of karma allows us to free ourselves, then if we really want to free ourselves, that's the thing, we have to really reconsider that as well. Be sure that's what we want. Because then effort becomes effortless, because there is no, that's the way to go. That's the way to go. So anyway, so the karmic consequences of our actions and our speech and our mental attitude are all, the root of our suffering, the root, and what will actually make our actions and our speech and our mental attitude, what will make them toxic and negative, is a basic ignorance. That's where it all starts. That's according to the Buddha, everything comes from that, from Marikpa. Marikpa is that a lack of understanding of impermanence, and the fact that I doesn't exist, and that and Marikpa means then that we are attached, we get attached to self and I, and so that's the beginning of the problems. And from that situation, then we start to develop stupidity. So the main poisons. We were talking previously or yesterday about 5 types of poison, but there is, first of all, there is 3 main ones that are kind of like a tripod of negativity, you could say. There is the stupidity, or you could say laziness, mental laziness. Denial is a part of that, or obscuration, dumbness, sidération in French. Do you say that in English? Sideration? No, just being startled. This a startled attitude, yeah, of being like that. So anything of the kind, any kind of, that's under the idea of timuk, or stupidity. And that's connected with the animal realm. So, like I was saying this morning, it's not that animals are stupid as such. Some of them are even more intelligent than we are. But it's that the lack of understanding about conditioning, the fact of being totally a slave to the conditioning. So that's the timuk, kind of a, yes, kind of weighty, kind of a weight of conditioning on the mind. And then there is craving, and then there is anger. The 3 things are really the basics for the negative mind, and it's all based on I. So if we think in terms of I, then I like, I don't like. I want, and I don't want, and I reject. So either I want something that I like, and then something is preventing me from having it, so I have anger towards that. Or somebody is aggressing me, I am against, and so everything is from the point of view of me. So and so of course, then the stupidity is also, as human beings, I think we all have checked that sometimes, it happens that we are going total denial. We don't want to know. That's also part of stupidity, or ignorance, is not wanting to know because we feel more comfortable that way, and that's a big obstacle on the path of knowledge. Of course, if we are on a path of knowledge and we refuse the truth, we refuse clarity, then there's a big problem there. So we have to remember that, that even if what comes at us, the information that comes at us is unpleasant, we shouldn't reject it. Just look at it and look carefully, actually, because in a way, when we have a strong attitude against something, there is a sign that maybe we are still stuck somewhere. We are being too solid about it. And there might be another way of perceiving the situation. So, from a point of view of a path of knowledge, any situation, whether pleasant or unpleasant, is worth looking at. It can be an opportunity to wake up. So this is wonderful in a way, because there is nothing to reject as such. Any situation is a good situation from a path of knowledge for a practitioner. So, but how are we gonna look into it? That's the thing. So what we have to do then, if we want to really use every situation to the best ability possible, if we want to learn the most from any situation, then we have to avoid, the negative responses. We have to develop a sense of acceptance and openness. Never close up and keep open, no matter what happens. And but what in that chapter on karma, they go into the all the negative aspects of body, speech, and mind, and the corresponding positive aspects. So we can go through that, quickly. But so from the point of view of the body, there is we don't kill. That's a basic one. That's the first one, and I think that's something we find in many different spiritual movements. That is one of the first rules, is not to kill. So and then not to take what has not been given. That's how it's called. To take for oneself what has not been given. Donc, then there is having harmful sexual activities, so that's for lay people. Of course, for the monastics, it's quite there's no sexual activity. So that's. But for lay people, it's having a sexual activity that is kind and that is, loving, and that is not harmful. And then for the speech, there is four activities that are negative. It's more for the speech than for the actions or for the mind, actually. That shows the importance of speech. The speech is quite powerful and can do a lot of damage. So the first one of speech, that's lying. That's quite obvious. Not giving the wrong information to people knowingly. And then there is splitting people apart. So having friends, that you tell each one wrong things about the other, and you create a split. You divide, a divisive speech. They consider that extremely harmful. That especially in terms of Sangha, from dividing people in a Sangha is considered extremely reprehensible. And so also harsh speech, just being aggressive in our speech. And then just gossip. Gossip is supposed to be harmful also. It's in a way where they consider it as if speech is very important. Speech is a way of connecting with others. It's a very special ability. It's precious. And so gossip is kind of misuse of that ability and, this power. And so it's a misuse of speech, the gossip. Or it means, by gossip they mean also any useless talk. Voilà. So then there is three negative aspects of mind, which correspond to the three main poisons. One is envy, to be envious of others, to wanting always what the others have, never being content, and always looking out at others, they're thinking that they have better than we have. So that's linked with desire. And then there is being a nasty mind, the mind that is always aggressive mind, that always sees the bad in others and in situations. Somebody who is completely all the time discontent. There is nothing is right. So that's the second aspect. And then the third is wrong views. And so from a Dharma point of view, it's believing in things being real and existing truly. That's the wrong view. And so that's connected with ignorance. So those three aspects of mind are linked with desire, stupidity, and desire. And so when you have these states of mind and these activities, then there can be the karmic consequences can be different according to to the extent of it, of how much intensity you put into it. So it will be different, according to to the intensity of your emotion, because it's all linked to negative emotions. So they have if it's a full effect, if you are really, for example, in a state of real rage, then it is linked with, like I was saying this morning, to the realm of hell, the hell realms. And if you are completely overwhelmed by desire and envy, that's and craving is closer to it. Then it's the world of pretas, or the hungry ghosts. And if you are totally overwhelmed by ignorance, or passivity, or then that's animal realm. But there is other ways also of looking at it. So they talk about the consequences of actions. Is that, for example, if you have actions now at this point of time in this life, we can have, for example, a habit of killing in this life, like killing animals, for example, hunting, or things like that. That can be a habit that's something that is familiar to you because you've done it before in a past life. So that can be a leftover from a past life, they say. So that's called an action that's similar to the cause. But you can also have now experiences that are similar to the cause. For example, if you have killed in a past life, you can have a short life, or be stillborn, or have very serious diseases, one after the other, very kind of life-threatening diseases in this life. So these are kind of rebounds of past actions in a previous life. If you have stolen a lot in a past life, in this life you will have poverty, or you will be the victim of robbery or pillages. If you have had sexual abuse, you've been through sexual abuse, you've done sexual abuse, they say you will have an hostile partner with a constant fighting. And they say that what to do then is patience. Develop patience. And if poverty and having the result of having been robbed in a past life, in the past, That can be in the past life, it can be also previously in this life, but they talk there about, to show that even if we don't know, if we don't remember having done it, we probably have, when we don't remember it. But if it's happening now, it's because there is a cause somewhere, at some point. So if you are being robbed, or if you are poor and you can't get out of poverty or whatever, then practice generosity to overcome that, to clean that, to purify that. So if you have been a great liar in your past lives, then you'll be unjustly blamed, you'll be constantly criticized. And so they say then in that situation is to accept it and to be actually grateful, because it means this karma is coming to an end. It's being actually eroded, and it's coming to an end. Yeah. So they advise to become friendly with the person who is harming us, who is criticizing us or treating us badly. So to try and develop a friendship and intimacy with that person. So it's kind of like cutting through, cutting through that. And also, in all those situations, it's also a good thing when we are being aggressed, or if we are being maltreated, abused, etc., is to also consider, it's not that, I often say, I have a friend in Belgium who was very worried about this, because he thinks he's going to become like a doormat. He said, I don't want to be a doormat, you talk about acceptance all the time, and well, I don't want to be a doormat. And I said, no, it's not a question of being a doormat. It's a question of keeping an open mind and an open heart. But it doesn't mean we agree to being abused, It means that we don't answer back in the same way, but we try to resolve the situation in a more intelligent way. So we don't keep that connection going, a very negative connection going. We don't feed it. We try to break it, break out of that. And also remembering, and I think that's very important for us to remember, that we don't want to encourage that kind of connection for the other person. It's not like we want gladly to be abused or aggressed, because, we have to be concerned also for the other person's karma. It is not a good idea to let somebody mistreat us and encourage that way their bad karma, because we are then party to it. We're party to them having a bad karma, abusing us. So there has to be a skillful way of resolving the situation without creating more bad karma for him or her and ourselves. Don't know if I'm making myself understood there, but that's it's quite important. So it's when somebody is mistreating us, there is two of us there, and each one of us has a responsibility in the situation, but our responsibility as practitioners is to try to resolve the situation, to break that negative connection in one way or another, in a skillful way if possible. So it's not being in a kind of passive acceptance. It's a creative acceptance. We have to have a creative mind there to that wakefulness that will know or will perceive what is the best in that situation, but not to be not letting the other person mistreat us, because that would mean encouraging their bad karma, So that's quite tricky, but that's what we are working towards, anyway, if possible, if we can. And that, of course, this whole sense of being creative is not easy, and it really is emphasizing our personal responsibility in everything that happens to us. And it's thanks to that, if we really truly understand that, we are freeing ourselves from the law of karma, from that law of causality. We are actually opening windows of possibilities that normally are not there if we are ignorant. If we are ignorant, we keep going round and round and round in this kind of ongoing sequence of cause and effect, cause and effect, cause and effect. But from the moment we have that understanding of responsibility, that gives us tools. It gives us a possibility of, breaking through. In that sense, the 12 links of interdependence are really very important and very useful to study, because there's 12 links of interdependence that kind of show the process of going from one life to the other, or also the process from intention to realization, even on a daily basis. And through this process, of those links, those links are linked by chains, to each other. But then there is, for the mind that is really well trained and very vigilant and very awake, there is possibilities at any moment to break, through one of those links, and to find, to cut through. So it is very important to remember that, like I was saying earlier, that the path of liberation, or the Dharma path, is about freedom. It's about, not being passive anymore and not being a victim. I know we talk a lot now about victims, and it's important to recognize the harm that is done. There's no doubt about this, and we need to speak out about the harm that is done, and that's not recognized. That's very important. But at the same time, we shouldn't encourage that victim aspect in ourselves, but rather because it's disempowering. There's one thing about recognizing how we get hurt, how we get abused, etc. And that's very important. And to speak out, that's really important. But we don't want to stay there. We don't stay, if we stay in a state of victim, we don't have any more power. We are in a state of dependency with the abuser, whatever it is. So I think it's the message of Dharma, as far as I can see, is about being master of our life, not victim of our life, and that's very important, I think. And that's what this chapter on karma is showing us. But it requires vigilance. It requires that sense of responsibility. And also, one thing that I find important is that sense of responsibility in Buddhism has nothing to do with blame or guilt. That's out. If you start to go into guilt, you are again a victim. You are a victim of your own thoughts. You are shooting yourself in the leg. You can't do anything. You just keep wallowing in the same kind of obscure kind of emotional turmoil, and you're not giving yourself a possibility of coming out of it. So I think guilt is a very kind of pernicious attachment to self, actually, in a very kind of low esteem kind of way. So this is not I remember when Kalu Rinpoche, the old Kalu Rinpoche, was first in Europe. He didn't know, he didn't understand guilt. It is not part of Buddhism. It's just there is a sense of shame. Shame is important because there has to be recognition when we have been negative. If we don't know that we've done something negative, then how can we move on? So obviously there has to be that clarity about what is toxic and what isn't, what's negative and what isn't. So there has to be shame, a sense of, yes, I've done something. And from that situation, you can actually, with the practices like Doji Sampa, with the 100-syllable mantra, etc., you can purify. So shame becomes a strength. Because without recognition of where we go wrong, we cannot move on. So that becomes a strength, it becomes a power. Guilt is not the same. Guilt keeps you stuck. You're stuck in a kind of a goo, So that is out. No guilt. And blame is not really a good thing either, because that also keeps you in guilt. Blame is another way of sabotaging yourself and not being able to move on. So you have to be careful with that. We have to, and that comes later, but that is involved with that. It's you have to develop a kindness for ourselves. If we are all constantly in blame about ourselves, it's still a kind of self-importance. And in a negative way, this is an obstacle. This is an obstacle. So they say also, like when we are when we have divided people, when we have been in a situation of dividing people, then in this present life we'll have constant disputes, constant arguments in our family, in our work. All that is happening. A complete lack of harmony. And so what we need to practice then is reconciliation, between people, trying to bring people together, unifying people. And so that's the effort we need to make. And if we have done a lot of, aggressive words, cutting words, so then again we'll have a lot of critics, disputes, arguments. It's no harmony whatsoever. So in that situation, then respond with humility, and pay homage to people who criticize us. That's difficult, but obviously it can be done. So that then the gossip aspect is that now, if we have been very busy at that in past lives, then our words don't have any power. People don't believe what we say. They don't have confidence in what we say. So, then it goes on to the mind, envy of others. Then we have constant obstacles to get what we want, and so on, and to generate situations, and then we rather than having what we want, we encounter obstacles all the time. And if we have been extremely nasty, we live in fear now, and we are the victim of a lot of troubles. And if we had wrong views, then we keep having wrong views. And we are subject, we're an easy prey to fancy gurus, you could say. So the idea of all that is is that whatever we encounter now in this life that is negative or that's painful, if we think that way, of course it requires having some kind of trust in past lives, which is not obvious to us. A lot of us, we have to work on that. But even if it's in this life, if we take it even in this life, this idea of cause and effect, then we can, what we are living now becomes a kind of loses we lose this kind of compulsive reaction. Why me? Why is it happening to me? This is not just. In a way, you think, why not me? Why should it be the other person? It's not really that kind, You say, well, why not the other person? Why me? But that, apart from that, it's kind of like this law of causality means that we are not automatically reacting, reacting to it like it shouldn't be there, rejecting it. It's more like, okay, that's what's happening. I'm sick. Must be a consequence of something. So we are not spending energy, wasting energy on rejecting it, but rather using our energy to see how we're going to cope with it and solve it. So I think that's very important, because in a way, a lot of our energy is wasted on rejection, on not wanting something, on and lots of energy goes there. And tears and shouts and being extremely upset, and that's useless, because what's done is done anyway. There's no way of going back. So why go there? Rather is look at the situation now and see what can be done in the best possible way, for oneself and others. So that's where, Dharma is very pragmatic. We don't waste time on things that are useless. You just kind of put your energy where it can be positive for oneself and others. They say also that when disease comes, when difficult situations come, it is actually the flowering of the karma. So it's actually a karma coming to its maximum. It's almost the end of it. So from that point of view, they say we should rejoice. Of course, it's not easy to rejoice when somebody is hitting you on the head, But you could, if you are a good practitioner, you can say, "Oh wow, how lucky! That's one karma done." But that's how that's how they think, and that's how a good practitioner thinks. So that's what we are encouraged to do. Which means, in a way, it's very, very clever. And also, it's very skillful, because if we are in that state of mind, 3/4 of that experience is already lifted. It's very interesting. A lot of the suffering is the lingering on, is how we keep the trauma going, how we keep the experience, the bad experience going on and on and on and on. We keep it going somehow, when actually it's gone, it's finished, So I've seen myself in retreat sometimes reliving extreme situations, like the car dropping, coming close to a precipice, and I'm going to die in a moment, and still, like years later, going through that extreme fear again, I'm reliving the thing, and it's actually, I was so amazed at the intensity of it, that I could recreate the whole thing. So it's our mind, how do we use our mind? What do we do with our mind when we are in an extreme situation? Because if you might have been, some of you, in extreme situations, but from my experience is that when you are in the extreme experience itself, you are just there. You are no more in fear, you are no more after, you are right there. And often I've found, several times I've had that at that moment everything is extremely clear and in slow motion, and there is a sense of total wakefulness, you could say, where there is no thinking of whether I'm hurting or not hurting. It's just being there. So, and the real problem is right before, when there is fear, and after, when there is a shock, when you feel the shock of it, the waves of it afterwards. So in a way, it's meditation helps us to be with the moment, like I was saying earlier today, and not keeping a situation going on, but just steadily go on being in the moment, being aware, keeping the awareness, and not getting involved with the attachment, which creates a lot of increases the negativity and the pain. So, but that's not easy. I'm not saying that should be the case all the time. It's not that easy. But it's something that we are encouraged to do in the future, if we can. So apart from that, what they say about karma is that there can be also an effect of in our conditioning, so that according to what we were in the past lives, we are reborn in certain areas or in certain surroundings, so that is also a condition to our past life also. And also the effect of the self-proliferation, which means that we have tendencies from past lives also, that we repeat the same patterns over and over and over again. So altogether, it means that our present life is a result of our past actions. So I think in a way here today we all have a pretty good karma, I think, that we have this opportunity to be, in this beautiful spot and be able to reflect and meditate and pray, and that is amazing when you think of the world and how many sentient beings on this planet alone. So that's also very important to remember that, how lucky we can be, and appreciate that. So the karmic consequences are extremely important. Like Guru Rinpoche said, like my mind is as vast as space, but my actions, the attention to my action is as fine as a grain of sand or a grain of flour. He said, a grain of flour. So, the impermanence aspect that we saw this morning is inviting us to that vastness of the mind and the fact that nothing truly exists, in that immensity. Things come and go, like clouds. And being aware of that and not clinging on to things. But at the same time, karma is teaching us that, relatively speaking, we are, everything we do has an impact on the next, everything we do, every moment has an impact on the next moment. Like the Karmapa says, the future is now. Future is now. So what we're doing now is having an impact on our next step. And so that's why we are invited to be extremely vigilant about how we think and how we speak and how we act, so that we kind of allow our future to be open and to have less obstacles as we go along towards enlightenment, basically. So what we were seeing there, those 10 negative actions, we are invited also to not only not do this and not do that, don't kill, don't steal, don't. It's not like that, because that would be it's only half of it. Actually, rather than kill, we are invited to promote life, for example. Like in Tibetan Buddhism, they often, invite you to release animals, that are being sold for food, or, like in India, also Indians do that, and Tibetans do that. You can see near Tsupu, I could see, the yaks that have been saved from being killed. They have a little kind of red ribbon on their ears, and in India they do that also. Like in Varanasi, you can see the goats and sheep that have been saved from being killed. So saving animals, or that's a good one to help with that. And instead of stealing, it's a generosity, developing generosity, giving. And sexual abuse, well, of course, being very extremely careful in our relationships. And then for the same for the speech, like we saw earlier, kind of being aware of not hurting others, and being aware basically of the power of speech. I think that encompasses all of it, and the sacredness of speech. And that's what Akung Rinpoche was a good reminder of that, because he was very, very spare. If you got 3 words from him, you remembered it for a year, 2 years, all your life, because they were so few, but they were potent. He was an expert at this, and he showed you, how in the value of words. So, and then the mind, of course, is that's where meditation is so useful. Taking the time to sit with ourselves and watching, so only kind of being aware of the thoughts that come through, and the thoughts that come on a regular basis also, the ones that turn on and on and on. There's kind of a constant rotation of fixations, really, and becoming more aware of ourselves, so we can let them go. That's where this the voidness aspect comes in. Like being able to just release those thoughts, letting them pass, not hanging on to them, not catching any of it, just kind of letting them go. As they come, they go. They're not fixating on them. So slowly those habits will slowly loosen up. But it takes time, I think. I don't know, but for me it takes a long time. I don't know about you. Maybe you are faster, but because there are some thoughts that seem to be very, very persistent, and so So it requires patience. We have to be patient with ourselves and loving, compassionate. Because if we can't have compassion and patience with ourselves, we'll never have it for others. It's not possible. We'll try, we'll do our best, we'll think we are doing it, but then at one point, everything will just get loose and yes. So, like my mother used to say, my patience has limits. When she said that, you knew you better leave the room. And that's not real patience. That's trying to kind of keep it together. So patience requires also, loving kindness, but and also this sense of voidness also, that ultimately none of this is actually solid. So that there is having the trust that at one point it's gonna dissolve, and it does. So it's important to remember that, and it gives us kind of strength, and yeah. So yes, I do encourage you, because now it's time, but I encourage you to look into those 12 links of interdependence, because I find this quite useful, and it's quite a teaching. It's you could spend a long time on that, and but it's really showing the development from ignorance onto our previous conditionings, what we are familiar, our familiar ways of thinking and perceiving, and how we create. We get attracted to a thought, and then we fixate on it and we grab it, and we give it form, and then we give it birth, and then and so on. And we create a situation. So the real key moment is the grasping. If we don't actually, we just let it, okay, then it won't happen. But we grab it and we create a situation. We have a new scene, a new situation. So. And oftentimes it's not just so new, it's just a repetition of many cycles. So this understanding of karma and the attention to the details of it, to the movements of the mind, what is actually creating that movement, what's behind the movement, is it envy, is it anger? Is it some kind of belief, delusion? So it's kind of looking into that in a precise way, and that requires calmness. It requires very protective area. That's why retreat is good for that, because you need a place where you are calm, where you are not going to be disturbed, and where you feel protected enough. Because when you look into that deeply, you are taking all your clothes off. You are being naked. You are really kind of. You're making yourself vulnerable. You cannot do it otherwise. Because part of the problem is all those defense mechanisms that we have built around ourselves. So, to really go deep into all those habits, tendencies, you have to allow to take off all your defenses. So it's good to start with. After a while you can be anywhere, when you are a good and experienced practitioner. But if you are starting, then it's better to be in a protective surroundings and not interfered with, having the space to really look in. Then you can do some good work with yourself and find out quite surprising things, not just negative things, positive things too. It's knowing ourselves encompasses all types of. We are a kind of like a kaleidoscope, I think. We are very. There's lots of us in one person, actually. There's lots going on. And so I think that's quite fascinating in many ways, because it's fantastic to have that opportunity. It's a very special opportunity too. So yes, I was looking. There was this book here, and so this is also the book of Ken Holmes. The translation of Gampopa by Ken and Katia Holmes. They also go into those four thoughts. Gampopa goes into the four thoughts. So that's also a good book to have. It's quite clear. Well, so do we have a...
15 minutes.
Is it now?
Yeah. Is it
14 minutes?
No, 15.
15 minutes.
This is bathroom break.
Now?
I don't know, look at
I've lost it. I'm sorry, Charlotte. I'm useless. I'm totally useless. I don't understand it. It's not there anymore. Somebody took it.
3 o'clock was a 15-minute bathroom break.
Okay, so it's now.
Yeah, and then we come back and we finish.
D'accord. Okay. So let's go then.
Charlotte, did you want to group photos?
Yes.
Can I suggest we do it now, because after people want to sort of disperse. So let's do toilet break.
We want to do it group photo.
Yes. Where would you want to just do it here after the raffle?
Do you want to do it right now? Right do the bathroom break first.
Quick. No.
Okay, let's go do it now. No.
She's taking the toilet.
For long.